Hello again. Thank you for joining. So, in this week's reflection of the book that I'm writing, the character has archetypes, like an archetype, her main archetype. In other words, a mask that she wears, she identifies as this part of her being all of her. And she's actually opened up to the concept that there's more to life. There's another facet of her, another way of viewing herself. And with this archetype, as she's changing, I was sitting down and thinking, okay, things happen in our life that plant seeds in us. And that seed, as it germinates and we learn to nurture that seed, that's almost like another variation of ourself, another archetype, another role that we're playing. And I was trying to figure out, as she's transitioning from this archetype to the next, she's already took it on, she's already been working with it for a while, and she had a vision in a dream. And in this dream, the previous guide that helped her connect to this archetype had given her a key, and the next one had given her a seed. And I was thinking about that, not a physical, but like telling her that. So I was thinking, with a seed though, is it really the outside circumstances that cause us to take on this archetype? And the more that I thought about it, like the transition, like the key would be the final lesson, the final bit of energy given to her so that she could close that chapter in her book, so to speak. And then I was like, okay, so if the new guardian gives her a seed, the new spirit type guide gives her a seed, what happens? Is he just like, oop, here it is? Like, no, there has to be something that happened in the transition. And as I thought about it, I'm like, well, if you imagine the seed, if you're planting a seed, a farmer doesn't just walk up and throw a seed on the ground and now there's a plant. I mean, maybe there's certain things that get carried in the wind, but there's usually a process of tilling the soil, of preparing the land to accept the seed. And then it occurred to me that if everything's a reflection to us of us on the outside, then what has to happen inside for these things outside to come to us? The opportunity, the chance meet, the chance encounter. These things, we have to work on ourselves and we have to prepare ourselves. If you're going to put a new coat of paint on your wall, you're not just going to go put paint up there. It won't stick very well. I mean, it might for a little bit, but it'll fade, it'll do all kinds of stuff. So you want to try to clean the wall first, clean the impurities. You may even have to take things off, scrape things off. You're preparing the wall. In the same way that you're preparing the soil for the seed to be planted by the outside source. So internally, you're almost tilling the soil and pulling out the weeds, and you're going through all these processes, and you're making a place and a space for spirit or the environment or God, whatever you consider the outside source that you think, oh, this opportunity just fell in my lap. No, you had to create the space for that. And then the seed comes to you, and then you nurture that seed, and it becomes a plant. And then you take the fruits of your labor from that plant. And as you're working on those fruits of your labor, then you can prepare yourself to either deepen the roots of the current plant or pull the plant up altogether for the next archetype that you're working on while you're mastering the previous. And you're going to till the soil so that the seed can come, and then you have your second archetype that you're working on. One can think of, I'm from the north and the south of the United States, but here in the south, they say things like we wear a lot of hats, because you get a job and you don't just do that job, you're also doing somebody else's job, you're helping, you're cross-training, you're doing all these things to help out. So in the same way you wear different hats, conceptually in your life, you are a mother or a father, you're a son or a daughter, you're a brother or a sister or an aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, you're all these different things. And then you're whatever you do for a living, financial wise. And then if you have a community where, like a church or something you volunteer for, you play a role there. If you are handy with your hands, maybe your neighbor needs help, then you play that role. Maybe you're not handy with your hands, but maybe you have an ability to be a good listener, and people come to you and they tell you their things. So we wear multiple hats in life. We have multiple roles. Some of them come naturally. Some of them is just something that we've done and we've become good at. But these are all similar to archetypes. They're pieces of you, pieces of your puzzle. And in the same way, I'm doing in the story is the archetype of her realizing, hey, this is what I've been. These are the circumstances I chose. I've done this for so long that I identified as this being me. But in all reality, now granted, she's still learning this and she's got a lot to learn. And she's actually going to have a point where she moves from one archetype to the next. She starts out as a thief because she's having to survive. She's left her home at a young age to try to make it in this world, and she has to survive. And in order to do so, she turns to thievery, not because she wants to hurt others, but she justifies it. Well, if I steal for myself and I also give to others too, then I'm not really doing anything bad, like the Robin Hood effect thing. If I'm not stealing from my friends or anybody that I know, I'm stealing from businesses or corporations that they just rip people off. Anyways, she's justifying these things. But now she's going from the thief archetype, the rogue, to the warrior, where she learns to stand up and she learns to be stronger and to defend. And she kind of tears away from stealing in general, just the whole concept of rogue. I mean, she still has those skills, but ideally her mindset is completely different. And now she's no longer having to rely on stealing. Granted, she's in a rock quarry, so I mean, that's a little different. But the whole point of the fact of the matter is, in there, is that she's changing her archetype. She's realizing, but she's going to think that she has to kill off the old. She's going to think, oh, I'm this now. I used to be this. Now I'm this. I cut my ties. And in the future chapters, she's going to realize, no, it's not a ripping away or a cutting away or a releasing of things. If you spent 10 years of your life working in an office and you dealt with all these things, all these programs and workbooks and all this stuff like that, this information, and then all of a sudden you go work in a warehouse and you're doing manual labor, you're doing, driving a forklift or whatever you're doing, somehow or another, you still have the previous knowledge. And then something might come up and then someone needs help. You're like, oh, well, I know how to do that. And you help them a little bit. And all of a sudden now you have a whole different role that kind of blends the two. You're carrying those tools of the trade, you're carrying those skills with you. So in the same way with an archetype, you're carrying that with you. You're not killing it off. It becomes a part of you. It refines, because we never really get rid of part of us. It's always there, and you can bury it deep and hide and run from it, or you can make excuses of it, or you can integrate it into what you are now. Take the good of it and take the knowledge from it and integrate. Nothing ever really dies off, so to speak. In the same way, the energy is neither created nor destroyed, according to physics and whatnot. The energy actually just conforms, it transforms. The same with molecules and whatnot. The same molecules on this earth have been here forever, and we're breathing in a part of us carbon-wise from our ancestors, from stars, from everything. So ideally, though, with all of this is the concept of changing and the concept of preparing yourself for the next state. So the next step, the next stage, the next upgrade. You're going to want to work on yourself, what feels right, be true to yourself and honor yourself, and just kind of clean house and get things prepared. You're preparing for the next stage, as opposed to just willy-nilly going through life, wondering why things aren't working and wanting better, but not actually trying, making excuses. And if you're ready to try and you're ready to make these changes, then you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to understand that the part that you played is not the part that you're going to play. The person you're going to become is not the person that you are or that you were. And if you realize that it's not a mask, it's not just a role, it's not just something that you did that didn't matter and you cast it to the side, but you take these lessons and integrate it, and you prepare the ground for the new seed of what's to come. Once the ground is prepared, the seed will show up. You don't have to go buy the seed. You don't have to go hustle for the seed. You just prepare and you set the intention of what you want to grow in that area or who you want to become, you know, the outside results, the money, the houses, the relationships, these things are a byproduct of the Sorry, apparently my phone in the windowsill got too hot and it just stopped recording and tried to shut off altogether. But I was essentially done talking. The last part that gets cut off, don't worry, that was pretty much at the end of it. I was just saying how not chasing the seed and how we don't have to go find the seed. And if we did get the seed and we weren't ready to plant it, then what? You know, we've got the seed, then what? Put it in our pocket? Anyways, that was the gist of it. I wanted to say thank you. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, please put in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for being a part of this community. Like and subscribe. And if that help you out and you think somebody else might help out or be helped out by this information or by this conversation, please feel free to share it. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. I will talk to you guys next week. Love you guys.